It's time for us to get inside of the big story. So the National Road Safety Council in Jamaica is working to reduce traffic crashes and fatalities. In fact, as of June 16, 175 lives were lost in road crashes across the island of Jamaica, resulting in 161 fatalities based on the information that have been supplied. The most affected groups include motorcyclists, private motor vehicle drivers, and pedestrians. Assistant Commissioner of Police Dr. Gary McKenzie urged road users to remain vigilant and exercise caution, emphasizing the importance of responsible behavior on our roads. This morning, we get a perspective on this matter from the Executive Director of the National Road Safety Council, Paula Fletcher, who is my guest at this time. Good morning, Ms. Fletcher. Welcome to the program. How are you doing?
Yes, morning, Richie B, and morning to your listeners. I'm doing very well, thank you.
All right, glad that you could join us at this time. You have been taking no doubt of the problems that we have been having on our roads with crashes, and I'm sure that it is of concern to you.
Well, it's of grave concern because, we talk about the number of persons who have died, but really it's our family members, our brothers, our sisters, our neighbors, our co-workers. And the fact that we started off pretty well this year, well, if we start with the end of 2024, we were 14% down in terms of the number of fatalities compared with the year before.
Yes.
And then we started 2025, we were about 20% down compared with the relative period for the previous year. And we went down to 10 and 6 and 3, which is where we are now, just 3% down compared to last year, same time. So we were happy at the beginning of the year. It is not such a pretty picture now, and if we continue at this rate, we won't be any better off as we were end of last year. So that's unfortunate.
So you are, in fact, embarking, I suspect, on a drive to reduce road crashes and fatalities in Jamaica. What specific initiatives will the National Road Safety Council be implementing over, say, the next few months?
Right. Well, we have a multi-sectoral approach because we are advocates and we keep the national picture, and in terms of policies and strategies, we advise the government and the other stakeholders that form our full council. But in terms of implementation, it's the respective ministries and government agencies. So one of the things we're doing right now, the focus, of course, is on motorcyclists who form 30% I think. 27 to date. It sort of fluctuates, but
yes,
generally that averages at about 30% of the fatalities. So over the past few years, we've been focusing on them with a motorcycle training program implemented by the National Road Safety Council in the West. That program has sort of transformed into what is a fully funded program by the FIA, that's a federation of all automobile associations, so to speak, like our JAA is a member, yes, AAA in America. So the association over the world, there's a foundation, and they have funded a national helmet-wearing coalition program. And that we're hoping will influence motorcyclists to wear helmets, because that's a big issue with them. They're not wearing their helmets. Over 90% of them are not wearing their helmets. And we also find that their dress is totally inappropriate. It provides no protection. Slippers and shorts are just not the mode of dress to be getting on a motorcycle. So there's a focus on motorcyclists, and we're also in discussion with Heart NTA to institutionalize, because these programs last for a specific time, but we have to be able to sustain it. So after that, we have been in discussion with Heart NSTA to incorporate that within their operation to institutionalize it, because they were very involved with the motorcycle training program with the National Road Safety Council. Also, we have a program with the PAHO, our local PAHO office, in partnership with them, funded by a United Nations Road Safety Fund that we applied for, and we got that, and that is operating. Under that, the police have been trained to use tablets, and we also have the road safety unit being, they're getting an information database that would allow them to get real-time data and to be able to analyze the data to better inform initiatives. So we're strengthening that capability with the police, both collection of data and analysis.
Mm-hmm.
We're also looking where we have what we call an IMAP program, an IRAP,
yes,
an International Road Assessment Program, funded by the Caribbean Development Bank, which is going around the periphery of the island using what you call a georeferencing system, where they actually take photographs at predetermined intervals to be able to detect and inform on hot spots, bad spots, spots where there needs to be engineering intervention. So at the end of that, they'll have information that the government can use to say what roads need to be repaired, renovated, re-engineered to have a better driving and a safer driving experience. So that's just some of the things that we're doing.
You had started off by mentioning motorcyclists and the emphasis there. I find also that a number of pedestrians themselves are fairly careless in terms of how they operate on our roads, and I think you no doubt want to encourage them into safe usage of the road practices. How are you focusing on the pedestrians? What emphasis are you putting there?
Well, yes, just to look at the statistics, 19% of the fatalities are pedestrians. We're in discussion on the table for a pedestrian initiative to see how best we can get pedestrians to operate as they should. Because, most crashes, especially involving, all of them, it's the decisions that we make.
Yes.
So we're hoping to be able to look at that pedestrian problem, which we have had our eyes on it for quite some time. And one of the things we need to ramp up is a public education program. Thankfully, we have gotten some money, which is up. When we say we, it's received by the Ministry of Transport. It has a long name, but just let's call it the Ministry of Transport, MSET for short.
Yes.
And they have gotten some funding it's a percentage of the ticket fines that is received by the Ministry of Security. And so that's a first. So we're hoping that the ministry, in partnership with the National Road Safety Council and the Road Safety Unit, will be better able to put together impactful public education messages to see if we can get the behavior change that is required for pedestrians to be conscious of how they use the road.
Yes.
Walk facing the traffic so you can see and react if there's something threatening. Wearing clothes at night that are not dark so they can be seen. So black is a no-no at night. This matter of walking with the devices to your ear that blocks out outside sound, which usually is a first alert as to something happening in the traffic environment. Walking in single file, using a pedestrian crossings where they're provided. If they're not provided, and we have to admit, especially in rural areas, there's a lack of pedestrian crossings. So you have to find a safe route So I'm really urging pedestrians to take better control of their safety, because really it comes down to the government can do what they need to do, and there are things that they need to do, but pedestrians have got to take greater responsibility for their safety.
I agree with you. I mean, especially the use of the phone. I mean, I see it so on a daily basis. Persons are on their phone and they're just going about their business, walking out into the road because they're so deep in their conversation, they're not focused. And
they're not focused.
Yes, and it does cause problems. Another big problem is the matter of speeding. I mean, so many times the police put out reports saying that it is believed that speeding was the cause of accidents and crashes and so on. Have you contemplated any strategies that can be employed to encourage motorists to reduce their speed and adhere to speed limits?
Well, with that one, I think that's a straight enforcement matter.
Okay.
And when I say that, I'm not saying that motorists should not observe the speed limit, and that they should not even adjust that legal speed limit if the conditions of the road, like rain, potholes, traffic, because you still have to apply what we see in the physical environment. So you may have to even drive below the speed limit. But in most countries where you get a high level of compliance, they do use technology. And that, I think, will be the game changer in Jamaica when we get to the point when we have electronic enforcement. Because moral suasion is one thing, and Jamaica has a lot of information out there on what's happening with the roads. There is it's not really, even though we have to step up public education, it's not a lack of information. Mm-hmm. It's decisions that we make every day. The shutter drivers, the ones who overtake and undertake, as we say it in Jamaica. Speeding, as you say, is over 90% of crashes, fatal crashes, are caused by speeding. Yeah. So what we have to do now is look at enforcement. A policeman cannot be on every corner. So we have to be able to use the technology. And I think that's the direction in which we'll be going in the future, where we have devices in the roadway, cameras really, or maybe speed over distance. There's another way. There are various ways to do it, at least two we know of. But some decision and investment has to be made at some point to ramp up enforcement, so that we can, you get issued a ticket in the mail, and even if we don't know your address, or if you change address and you don't inform the authorities, but the police, even under the United Nations Fund program that I spoke about, they will be able to have devices in the field to be able to catch you if you have tickets that are unpaid. And another thing that will happen is that if you go to renew your driver's license, register your car, you won't be able to do those types of business with the government if you have unpaid tickets. So there are a lot of initiatives, and I think when everything converges, it will be a better landscape, because we are implementing the safe systems approach, safe drivers, safe vehicles, safe speeds, and a better emergency response system. So there's a lot going on.
Yes.
But and another thing that is happening too, we need to have the point system working. That's very important, because there are a lot of drivers in the traffic environment that should not be there. And there was a need to correct that in the law. So it will start soon enough again. So people will be removed more efficiently from the roadways. Mm-hmm.
I want to talk a little bit more about the whole matter of road safety education, and ask you: do you believe the time has come for us to move away from, say, a short-term campaign to a more longer-term type of situation where maybe educational institutions incorporate road safety education into their curricula?
Oh, for sure. We the Road Safety Unit has been doing that for some time. They have been active in the school, and there are materials have been developed that are being used in schools. We also have the police that do school visits, as long as there's a yard big enough for them to lay out, to simulate a traffic environment, a bus stop or roadway, to show the children how to cross. So the police have been doing that for years. And also the road safety unit, which now falls under the Island Traffic Authority. Mm-hmm. So some of that is happening. And I also mentioned that there is a fund now for the very first time. And we're very excited that, you know, for the future and the near future, that we'll be able to put together a public education campaign that's more in-depth, more, you know, more sustained for a more sustained period, and that we can ramp it up at the critical periods, like summer is one, because there's a lot of partying and a lot of movement.
Yes.
Of course, the end of the year, we also need to be able to be very vocal, and of course going into the new year, because the partying and the merrymaking continues. So with that fund that we'll be getting, as I said, from a percentage of the fines that the Ministry of National Security gets, and then the money has been received already, some of it. So we can look forward to seeing more sustained, impactful public education campaigns, and we're really happy about that, because that's a balance. You know, you have to have the public education and you have to have the enforcement. Those two things need to work side by side.
Yes. All right. What do you want to leave with us this morning to all road users out there listening? What do you want to leave with us this morning, Ms. Fletcher?
What I want to say to the drivers, the pedestrians, the motorbike people, my God, motorbikers, you have got to wear your helmet. It's a protective device that, as simple as you see it, when there is when you hit your head, the force of that, the physics of the helmet is that it sort of dissipates. It doesn't focus on one point in your head. So it's very effective. As much as I always say that you no longer have the motor vehicle around you as protection. That metal protection now is on your head. But the technology of it is that you don't, it absorbs some of the force of the impact. So it's very, very important. And not only to have it on your head, but to have it strapped properly. It's actually a breach of the law if you don't have it affixed properly. Because sometimes they wear it only for the police, you know, to avoid getting a ticket.
Yes.
But you have to affix it properly with a chin strap so that it doesn't fly off. And the clothing, please, motorcyclists, you have to have on long pants, jeans, the slippers. It's a thing with men now these days, slippers. Women used to wear slippers. Now men everywhere wear slippers and socks. But that is no protection at all for your toes. You lose your toes as you skate along if there is an impact. And you also can do a lot of damage to your flesh as you skate along the gravel. So why would you not want to have protection in a situation where you're exposed?
Yes. If
you don't have on your helmet, the rest of you are exposed. So, you know, cover yourself, take the precautions, motorcyclists. Speeding, please, let us drive within the speed limit. Pedestrians, please know that you have to take personal responsibility, as all road users. But walk facing traffic, use pedestrian crossings where provided. Adults, caregivers, do not send your child out unless you have mapped out and walk them through a safe route. We're on holiday now, it's a good time. Walk them through a safe route to go to and from school, church, and that sort of thing. But we must overall take greater personal responsibility. We're looking to the government for this and that, but there are things that we can do if we want to live, to be able to be, take care of our families, enjoy life. And as I always say, not all people die. Some live with debilitating illnesses for life. So let us take greater personal responsibility on the road.
Paula Fletcher, Executive Director of the National Road Safety Council, I thank you for your time and your thoughts this morning, and I wish you a wonderful day. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and all the best.